we had everything going against us.
Yeah, we were young, we were broke, we didn't know anything about business. We literally started from nothing.
We were never supposed to make it. All right, what's up, guys?
What's up? Welcome back.
Hey, Win Anyway, episode 2. Yeah, so if you're just joining us and you're brand new, we are 2.
Yes.
It's only episode 2. And I'm Jay.
I'm Ronnie.
And we are, we're fired up. This is the second episode. And the first one, I think, was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We got a lot of good feedback. So
yeah, we appreciate you if you listened and you watched. And
yeah, we're excited. This is just the beginning to a hopefully long journey here with you guys. And so we're happy to help, and we're happy to be here.
Yeah, for sure. You know, this podcast, if you didn't watch the first one, you don't know what it's about. The whole thing is put together for you. If you're trying to win in business, you're hungry, you're losing, you're broke, you don't come from a family of entrepreneurship, you feel like you don't have a lot of support, no one's cheering for you. Doesn't matter. Life's kicking your freaking butt. Makes no difference. At the end of the day, you got to win anyway.
Yeah, you got to make it happen.
So today, here's what we're going to talk about. We touched on this in episode 1, and I'm excited about it. This is a big topic. It's something that I feel is a very common thing talked about in the business, and it's finding your why, and it's knowing what your why is.
And I think it's a perfect topic to start on, because in business, often the first time, especially in our industry, because you're starting as an entrepreneur, the first thing people ask you is like, okay, well, why are you going to do this? And so I think it's the perfect topic to start off with. Yeah,
and it's something that I think people that win really big are very clear on what it is for them. And I think a lot of times people that aren't winning, it's an excuse for them. That,
right.
I just don't know what my why is. I'm not motivated. I can't seem to find what drives me and what gets me out of bed.
Yeah.
And I think that's bullshit.
I think so too. I think people build up this why so big in their head that they think it's going to be magical, that they think, okay, I know my why now, so now I don't have to put in forth any effort because that why is going to magically drive me to do what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right. The same way people get fired up for New Year's that's coming up, and they think a brand new year is automatically going to mean new results, but that's not true.
Yeah, exactly. And if you think about it in a practical sense, why do you go to work? I bet you it's not some magical answer. I bet you it's something simple like, I need to pay my bills, or maybe you love what you do, but the answer is so much more simple than you think it is.
Right. So if we're going to talk about your why, let me tell you first of all what my why was in the beginning. I was not very clear on that. In fact, it probably took me about 6 years to get clear on my why. It took me about 6 years to figure out what it was that really drove me deep down at the core. And I'll just tell you straight up, when I started in business, my why, you might be able to relate to this, I was freaking broke.
Yep.
We were paycheck to paycheck. We were on a $50 a month grocery budget. We were struggling. I was trying to make this thing work. I lost my job about 2 weeks after starting in the business, and the fire department had budget cuts. They weren't hiring, and I wasn't going to have any more work. And so she was in school and finishing her master's and working full time, and we were freaking broke, and that was my why.
Yeah, and that was a really good why for us. That was enough because it sucked having to eat pasta every day, guys. It sucked. A luxury for me was saving up 4 quarters and 7 cents, because that's how much tax was in the city at the time, so I could buy a spicy chicken sandwich at Carl's Jr. And that was like a treat for me. I got super excited that I can do that at lunch.
Yeah, we're not making this up either. This is a true story.
Yeah.
And now WFG's putting like 50 grand a month in the bank account.
Right.
But at that point, it was 10 boxes of pasta for $10, and we were buying avocados at a Mexican store called Cardenas, which was, you could get like,
they were like this big.
Yeah, and they were rotten when you opened them.
Yeah,
and
half of them at least.
Why they were so cheap. And so, guys, we were freaking broke. And I'll tell you, I didn't have this why of like, I want to go out and cure world hunger. And even our mission for what we did for people, I believed in it, but it wasn't my driving factor. My driving factor was I need to put some damn money in the bank account.
Yeah, and by the way, if you don't have that driving passion to, cure, world hunger, or to build missions, all across the world, it doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that that's not your calling.
Right. Or maybe it's not your calling yet.
Yes.
And so, and my point in saying that is that I believe your why, and I know this factually for myself, that my why has always changed throughout the business. It has not always been the same. So at first it was paying the bills. I had to make $3,000 a month. And I told her I was going to make $3,000 a month so that we could pay the bills. And I was going to the office every freaking day. I was getting 20 prospects a day. Literally, I had made it where I will not go home till I have 20 numbers a day.
Right.
Because I didn't have a market. I didn't have this great, Filipino nurse market or this Punjabi market or any of these markets that some of you guys have, or that some of you envy, I should say. A lot of you probably go, oh man, but they got this Chinese doctor market and all my friends are broke. Well, all my friends were broke. All her friends were broke. Yeah. So I was getting 20 numbers a day, and my why was to put money in the bank account so that we could pay the bills. And I would not come home without 20 numbers. So if it was midnight, there's still someone out in the world at midnight. If it was 1 o'clock in the morning, there's still someone out in the world at 1 o'clock in the morning. I would not come home without 20 numbers. And then my why became, once I made $3,000 for the first few months, which took about 4 months to do, my why was just competition.
Right. Yeah.
Competing, whooping someone's butt.
Yeah.
And competition drove me for probably 5 years, where literally my why every day was, I'm going to go freaking win. I'm going to go kick someone's butt. I'm going to get to the top of our freaking hierarchy. Then we're going to get to the top of the company. And like literally that was our why. And so I think if you don't have this sad story, and even if you're not broke, you may be doing really well. You may be listening. You're already making a couple 6 figures a year. I think your why will always change. But for me, competition drove me for a long time. What was it for you?
Well, in the beginning, it was just 100% like he talked about making money. We needed to make money, and he started in business before. And like you mentioned, he needed to make $3,000 because I had to quit my job in order for me to finish my internship that would allow me to finish my credentials at school in my master's program. And so making money was the number one most dominant motivating factor. Every single day it was like, man, we have to make this happen. We have to make this happen. And finally, like you mentioned, 4 months later, he was able to make that happen, which when you're struggling, 4 months feels like 4 years.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It felt so long, but finally it was consistently $3,000, $3,000, $3,000. So it was the most amazing feeling. And I felt like this weight lifted off our chest. But shortly after that, I would say, I don't even know, like 6 months later, we're like, okay, we got to open an office. We have nowhere for our agents to go. We have nowhere for our clients to go. At the time, we were running trainings and running appointments, out in clients' houses all over LA, Orange County, Inland Empire, everywhere. And we needed an office to be able to do, stuff with the team and stuff with our clients. And so we're like, all right, let's do it. And the people who we were working with in business said, all right, let's pitch in. We're going to do this together. We're all going to get an office within the office. Like the bills are going to be covered. We did the math. It looked good. And we opened an office, and day one, nobody paid. I think we had one agent on our, in our firm paid their rent, and that was it. And so all of a sudden, from having that weight lifted off my chest because we were making what we needed to pay the bills, now our bills were triple, and we needed to pay everything ourselves. And so again, my motivation was, all right, we got to make this happen. There's no way we're going to go under. If we have to pay this rent all by ourselves, then we're going to pay it all by ourselves. And so that was the motivating factor. And then once we got past the point where that was stressful and we were making more money and people were paying rent in the office, then it was competition. And it was winning, and it was that chip on your shoulder where people didn't think you were going to make it. So now you were going to prove them wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, and there's different stages to being broke, by the way. So if you're broke right now, I think even when you get to 50,000, we had a couple, Joey and Randy, they just crossed 50 grand for the year as of this morning. Yes. And they have only been full-time for, 8 months or something like that. Or one of them, they were not both full-time. But there's different stages to being broke. So you first start making money when you're full-time, and you ain't got nothing because you're full-time. So every day is this constant panic of this constant entrepreneur emotional freaking roller coaster where you're sitting down and you're like, God, I have so much free time. Like, what the heck am I supposed to be doing all day? Right. And then you finally figure out how to make money. Then you're making 30, 40 grand. Then you're making 50, 60 grand. Then you're making $75,000 a year. Then you get your ring. You get your blue ring, and you're like, everyone thinks you're balling out, but you're still freaking broke because you racked up all this credit card debt in a lot of times when you were trying to survive to get to your ring. So now you're paying off the debt, and people think you're making money, but you're really not. And you're like, gosh, man, I'm not doing anywhere near as good as people think I am, but I got a ring, and I think along those stages, your why changes because you start to figure out what really drives you. I remember in the very beginning of my career, I spoke at an area-wide meeting with like the monthly meeting for the hierarchy, and I was a top recruiter and something. And I remember I had like this record month. I made like 5-6 grand or whatever. And then the next month, I made like nothing. And I remember going like, what the heck? Like, how did I don't know why I'm so inconsistent, and I think a lot of people struggle with this, and they put it back on, I don't know what my real why is. And that's true to an extent. And this is what I mean is I got a voicemail from someone after that meeting who at the time was kicking my butt, and we're kicking his butt now, but at the time he was kicking my butt. And he left me this voicemail that really changed my whole career, and I'm forever thankful for it. He said, hey, Jay, I wish you would have picked up the phone, but it's all good. I just figured I'll leave you this message. He said, the reason you're struggling and you're having this up or down roller coaster is because you're working to pay your bills. You're not working to build a business. And he said, what's going to happen when your bills are paid? Then what's going to get you out of bed? And that's why I say I believe your why will always change throughout the years. I know ours has changed over and over and over and over again, where it went from, gosh, I just want to make some money, I just got to save, to, oh man, now the bills are paid. Now I want to compete. And then, now I'm winning. But now I got to get people on my team competing. And now I want to retire my parents. Like now I could actually see past Friday's mortgage payment or Friday's rent payment, where now I want to retire my parents. Now I want to get my wife off her job or get my husband off his job. Or now I want to like put the kids through college. Now I want to get my next ring. Now I got to get people on my team that are winning. Right. And so I think for us where we sit right now, and you could tell me, Ronnie, if you disagree, but I think our why right now is watching people on our team hit their whys and their small whys. I think you have small whys that then you start to work towards bigger and bigger and bigger whys. But sometimes a small why like paying your rent feels like this huge, ginormous freaking mountain to climb.
Yeah, and that's so true. We had an agent on our team, a lady, and she loved sports. She freaking loved sports. A teacher, amazing person, loved helping people. And her number one why for, starting in business was that she just wanted to be able to afford the sports package on cable. And so for her, that was enough to to get to work. So that way she can, have the little extra luxuries in life. Right. And so, and then she accomplished that. Right. And I, like you said, it just changes. And then there's something else, and nothing is too insignificant, I think, as far as like your why goes. It's like whatever drives you, you have to really get to know yourself. Right. But you got to start by making some money. Yeah, definitely. Because if you're not making money, and especially if you need to make money, money is that one thing that will just dominate your freaking mentality all day long. Right. And it just puts this so much pressure on you. Some people, they start off in the business and they're not struggling financially. And so, I mean, it's so easy to win when you're not chasing a dollar because, I mean, you don't need the money. If your client says no, it's not a big deal. But I remember sitting on the kitchen table across my very first close that I ever had. And my why at that time was like, gosh, man, I need to get a client. I need to close so bad because my bank account is like drowning and just like starving to get paid. And I remember I'm sitting there and I didn't prepare to close because I had never closed before. And so I didn't even have an application. And I'm going through the appointment and I get to the end and I know I'm done, but I didn't know how to close. And so I'm like, so like I was saying and I kept circling back. And a lot of times people do that when they don't know how to close is they keep circling back. Yeah. And it's because they're panicking in their head. They go, I don't know where to go next. I don't know what to do, but I know I'm done. And so like, so as I was saying, and this is what I was doing. And finally I look at the lady and I go, hey,
you want to do this or not? And she looks at me and she goes, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, and I literally looked up at her. I was like, wait, really?
Really?
You really want to do this? And she's like, well, yeah, isn't that what you're here for? I was like, yeah, but if I'm completely honest, no one's ever told me yes before. And so I don't really know what to do now. And she looks at me, she goes, well, we got to fill out an application, right? That's what you told me last time. And I was like, yeah, give me a second. Let me find it. And I didn't have an application, but my why was so big because I needed to win so bad, where I literally went on my computer, I turned it, I pulled up Microsoft Word, and I filled out a Microsoft Word blank document. And I was like, address, phone number, social, bank account info. I probably missed a whole bunch of stuff. And she thought I was filling out an application the entire time. And I walk out with my buddy who was with me. And we're walking out, and he looks at me, like, as we're walking down the sidewalk, he's like, hey, bro, did we just close? I'm like, yeah, I think so. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, but don't celebrate, bro. She's watching. I know she's watching out the window. We get in the car, and I was like, don't say nothing. And we pull off, and we turn the corner, and we're like, yeah, we freaking high-five each other. And here's my point in telling you that. That was my why in the very beginning. It was so small, but it felt so big. And I think if you're struggling to find your why, I don't think the why is what's going to get you to the top. It's the work.
Right.
And you got to work. And sometimes people feel like they're lacking in being inspired, or lacking motivation, or lacking, what do they call it? Motivation is usually what agents say. Like, I just can't find a motivation.
Yeah, not inspired.
I'm like, you're broke, dude. How the hell are you not motivated?
Right.
I mean, like, that enough. I remember what it feels like to be broke.
Yeah.
Like yesterday.
Like, I remember it so vividly, it still hurts. That's
dude.
Yeah.
I have that feeling like embedded in me. And whenever I feel lazy, I pull that card out, and it's like, it just brings me right back to it. But when people are lacking, here's the deal. When you're trying to go down a weight loss journey, or a fitness transformation, or a business transformation, you don't get inspired and then go to the gym. You got to, like, make a decision to go long enough to see results, and then you get inspired to keep going. When you're walking out of the gym and your buddy goes, dude, you put on some size, like, you put on some muscle, or hey, you lost some weight. That's where the inspiration comes from. But it starts with doing it whether you like it or not. And I think that's how you start to really find your why, and then make your why come true, is by doing the things that you know you need to do even when you don't feel like doing them.
How about for people, what do you think for people who, let's say, they already have another career and they're already making money, so they're not struggling financially, like, money is not the main motivator? Right.
I mean, there's always got to be a bigger purpose, because it's not about the money. People think they're chasing money, but money is a very weak motivator. And when someone goes, no, it's not, but the proof to you is the fact that 90% of people have no money. And so if money was a strong motivator, you wouldn't look around and find so many people without money. Right. And so I think when someone's struggling to maybe get motivated because they already make money, well, that's because money's not the main thing. People think they want money, but what they really want, I found when I thought I wanted money, what I really wanted was what money gave me, which was options and peace of mind and savings and time and the ability and the right to say no when I feel like it. Where when you have no money, you have no freaking right to say no. You have to go to work. You have to answer to someone. You have to do what you're told. You can't choose to walk away. My favorite rapper is an artist named NF. And in a song he says, if you don't like your job, then what do you do it for? And It's such a simple line, but the bottom line is, if you don't like your job, then why do you do it for? What do you do it for? But people do it because of money. And I know a lot of people with a lot of money, but they have no time. And I know a lot of people with a ton of time with no money. But outside of WFG, man, I don't know very many people that have both time and money.
Right.
And we got a lot of people on the team that make six figures, multiple six figures, that don't want to do it because they make six figures. And by the time they take it home, they only take home 70.
Right.
And they do it on 60 hours a week. And they have no time. And they have no life.
They work all the time.
And $100,000 is not a lot of money. It doesn't take 12 months to make $100,000.
It's not with how expensive things are.
Right.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Right.
And things just keep getting more expensive.
So I'm fired up.
Let me ask you this last thing.
Go.
So how does somebody start? Like, let's say, because we get people all the time who are like, I just don't know what my why is.
I don't know what I want.
Like I don't know what I want. I don't have that thing that just gets me excited to get up and go to the office.
I got the perfect assignment for you. When I was struggling because I couldn't see past paying the bills and I was scared all the time, was when you have no money, you're scared all the time. And you're you're going through life scared.
Fear.
And fear.
Panic.
It totally like screws up the clarity in your vision because you're scared. And when you're scared, you think small sometimes and you do small things and you don't feel good. You get out of shape when you're scared. You don't feel good. You're broke. Everything's not good. And when you're in that state, that's a very scary place to be. So when you're in that place where you're just like, gosh, man, I just feel like crap and I just feel like life's kicking my ass. It's hard to see the big picture of the things in life that are great that you really want. Like earlier, I asked a buddy of mine, I say, hey, when we get there, do they have valet? And he goes, well, yeah, they have valet, but valet costs a little more than self-park. And I said, yeah, man, that's because a quality of life costs money. And even though it's not about the valet, it's the fact that a quality of life costs money.
Yeah.
And this isn't about money. Money is not everything, but money makes it a lot easier. Money doesn't make you happy, but money gets rid of a lot of the things that make you unhappy.
Yeah.
And so when I was broke and I couldn't see like all the stuff that I really wanted out of life, I'll tell you what I could see though. I could see all the stuff that was making me miserable every day. Like my bills and my debt and my piece of crap car and not being able to ever fill up my gas tank. The fact that I didn't even flat tires. Man, when you're broke, you always got flat tires. Isn't that crazy?
Every week I was at the mechanic. Well, at least it felt like every week.
An emergency. There's always an emergency. People have so much emergencies and no emergency funds. And it's like when I was broke, like I couldn't tell you all the things I wanted in life. Like I was the guy going, oh, money's not everything. Oh, I don't like to travel anyways. Oh, I don't need a nice house. Oh, it's whatever. Like, but I could tell you, man, I'm freaking sick of being broke. I'm sick of eating crap. I'm sick of not being able to go to the grocery store and get what I want. I'm sick of never having a full tank of gas. Like, so here's the deal. If you're trying to figure out what your why is, even if it's not money, it doesn't have to be money. Maybe you're balling out, but you have no time. You never see your kids. You miss all the soccer games. You're always out of town. You're always on the phone. Here's the deal. Make a list of all the things in life that you're freaking sick and tired of. And maybe sometimes that's an easier list to make. Fire it up. All right, guys, we appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Tell your friends, subscribe, share this with someone on your team who probably needs it, and we'll see you as you win. Take care.